Hey guys, Mr. Happy here and welcome to Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn 101. This episode, going to be talking about Phase 4 preparation. Now, a lot of people have been asking me what I'm doing to get ready for Phase 4 and Early Access, and I figured I'd do a little list of things that people definitely should know going into Phase 4, because these things will help you progress a little bit further and help make your life a little bit easier. So some of these details I've already gone over, but I want to reiterate some of them and go over some additional details. If you want to get the original details, go over to my Phase 3 Thoughts / Phase 4 Information Revealed video. Other than that, I will continue on right now. So the first thing I want to reiterate is that Phase 4 is only a 1-week testing phase, so we're not going to have a lot of time here. So it's really important that we make the best use of our time before Early Access or before launch, depending on if you have your pre-orders or if you're a Legacy account or not. Another thing to note is that Arcanist and Jobs will both be available. So it's very important to realize that even though we might be fully prepared for what we already know, that Arcanist, Scholar, and Summoner are still somewhat unfamiliar territory to us in terms of we don't know what abilities they get exactly. We only know some of the things that have been data mined and some of the things that Yoshi-P has told us, such as Scholar will have their fairy will have moods that will change the spells that they cast, and that Summoner's Eggies will have their own sort of important role in the party, and that Arcanist will be a damage over time / buffing class. Other than that, we don't really know too much, but we know that all that will be available for testing, so you need to factor it into what you're going to do somehow. Now, one question that I've been getting a lot about Phase 4 is if you've ever signed up or participated, if you need to sign up again. The answer is no. If you've ever participated in any of the previous beta phases, or if you've ever even signed up to the beta phases and didn't even get invited, you should be receiving an invite to Beta Phase 4 at some point soon. Reason being is that it is technically an open beta, and I put that in quotes because even though it's open beta, the sign up for Phase 4 did close on Monday. I mentioned that in my previous video as well. So if you hadn't signed up before Monday, July 22nd, then sorry, but you're going to have to wait until Early Access or launch if you didn't get to play the beta phases. Now, another thing, be on the lookout for your pre-order codes, because the pre-order code should be coming out. Those of you who got your pre-orders, you should have noticed on the receipt that there was actually a website for you to go to for you to put in your email, and that they said that they would email you when your code was ready or something like that. I don't remember the words exactly, but all it was you went in and you put in your email, and then they said thank you, we'll contact you when the pre-orders are ready. So definitely be ready for that, because that has to be done very soon as well. Now, and other things that you could do to get ready for Phase 4. So now we're looking at information that actually could help you going into Phase 4 and launch. Not only for the idea that you need to get ready to do certain things in Phase 4, but the idea that there will be a lot more to do after Phase 4. So one thing that you can definitely do is watch the live letter on August 8th. For those of you who don't know what the live letter is, it's where Yoshi-P himself talks about certain things. He mainly answers questions from Twitter or shows off screenshots and things like that. But it's a nice way to obtain information about what they're currently working on and what their plans are. So that's a very, very, very important thing to watch. There's a ton of great information there. I also recommend reading up on some of the older ones. Not too old, because some of them go back to the point where you're talking about when the game was still technically called 2.0 and we weren't calling it A Realm Reborn, and a lot of that information hasn't really been brought up as of lately, so it's hard to tell if some of that information is still accurate or still planned. Now, with that in mind, there are some very obvious things that you can do, but I'm here to help you along to make the decisions a little bit easier. Now, the first thing you definitely want to do before you even worry about creating your character is picking a class and a job, most importantly. Now, every class basically in the game has one job, except for Arcanist, which has 2. So picking a class pretty much automatically means that you'll have a job in mind. So definitely remember these things, though, when you're picking your class. Your starting class determines your starting city. So that means that if you're planning on playing with friends, you either have to start in the same city by picking classes that are similar to one another, or you're going to have to wait until level 15. Now, why would you have to wait until level 15? Well, levels 1 to 15, the main storyline essentially, which is what you'll probably use on your first character, is essentially your tutorials and your introduction. And this is independent of the city that you started in. So the first 15 levels of quests will essentially be unique to your city. So if you try to go party with somebody outside of your city, you guys are falling behind on the main storyline, and it would probably just take you even more time to get caught up in them. You might as well utilize the experience gained from those while they're available to you right at the start. So take it to level 15, but why level 15 exactly? Well, after you do the level 15 main story mission, it's a fight that I'm going to be doing a video about in the near future once I can put up video, audio and video. it's after you do that, you'll unlock a quest that'll unlock the airship, and the airship is by far the easiest way of getting around from city to city, at least the cheapest way of getting around from city to city without having to teleport constantly between the 3 cities. Now, I said it might be a little tedious to some people. Maybe if you have enough extra money, you don't mind the teleporting, but at this point, also the storylines converge. When the storylines converge, it means that you don't have to worry about which city you're in or where you start or anything at all. Just, you know, do fates, do dungeons, do the main story, do it with your friends, because now it's all converging and it doesn't matter where you started anymore, it matters where you're going. So those are very, very important details about picking your class. Definitely get the first one you pick to level 15, even if you have a friend who wants to level and he's in another city state. I highly recommend you both go your own ways until level 15. Hopefully I've said it enough. Now after that, you really need to, you know, once you know which job you're going to play, you need to know which classes you need to level to make that job the most effective. So you need to learn your subclasses. Now subclasses are essentially going to be the 2 extra classes that a job can pull abilities from. So this is very important because this makes your character the most effective on the job that you want to play the most. I did a video about this. It's called Class and Job Basics. So if you want more information about that, please head over there. Some of that information is from 1.0 and some of it is from 2.0 because we don't have the exact information available yet because the job quests haven't been shown to us yet. However, we should be getting the correct information very soon, and it still gives you a rough idea of what you should be leveling in terms of unlocking your job and making it the most effective. Now, some people aren't automatically worried about what their job abilities will be as much as they are about what sort of thresholds that they should look for when leveling all their classes. So I know that classes for the most part only need to hit a certain threshold in terms of whether you want to use them for your job or whether you want to use them on all your classes to help level. So my personal advice is to look at the important levels for each class. Now, I'm going to go over them very briefly and why they're important, so don't worry right now. The one thing I recommend that absolutely everybody does, especially if you're a new player, is after you get that first class to level 15, I highly recommend you go to Gridania and you unlock Conjure and get it to about level 8. Now, the reason being is that there are 4 thresholds on Conjure that really give you additional boosts, and that's 2, 8, 12, and 34. Now, 2 is Cure and 8 is Protect. So these are definitely the easiest ones to recognize. Also, however, you have Raise and Stone Skin at 12 and 34. So just having Raise on your bar sometimes is useful. Not so useful because you can't use it in combat, but sometimes it's nice to have a second person with Raise on their bar. Also, Stone Skin at 34 is nice. It's alright for soloing, but it's not great. Honestly, I feel like the ability in its Phase 3 incarnation was a little bit underpowered, and I'm hoping that we see a little bit of a boost to it in Phase 4. Archer also has 3 things that you should look out for. Level 4 is the easiest one to reach, Raging Strikes, which does additional damage. Hawk's Eye at level 26 is your next one, and this gives you more accuracy. And Quelling Strikes at level 46. This one's really important if you're planning on leveling basically any job that uses it as a subclass, because this lowers the enmity that you deal, and that's going to be pretty important. So I know level 46, you might as well just level it to 50, and I do agree. It's a very, very deep way. It's a very, very deep class ability, but it's also a very, very good one. So I highly recommend that if you have the patience, you get Archer to 46. Moving on, we have Gladiator. Gladiator also has 4 thresholds similar to Conjure, and they're at 8, 10, 22, and 34. Now, this also, again, this really depends on what you're leveling because not everybody needs these things. 8 is Flash, so I really only recommend that you get to that threshold on your warrior, so you have something other than your overpower in order to do AoE threat. Convalescence increases the healing you receive. Again, another thing. This is actually could be important no matter where you are, because if you're taking damage, Convalescence can help in terms of getting healed. Provoke, again, mostly only important on having as warrior, because, well, putting you at the top of the hate list is a pretty important thing. And Awareness just reduces your chance of being critically hit. Again, warrior. It could be useful for soloing on other classes and jobs, but you need to get to level 34 to get there, so it's a pretty far-fetched thing. On Marauder, you only have a few, and they're much lower level than most of the other thresholds. Level 2 is Foresight, which increases your defense by 20%. This is a great soloing ability, and it's a pretty vital ability to have on Paladin. So I highly recommend, if you're planning on leveling Paladin, that you definitely level Marauder to at least 2. However, if you're going to 2, you might as well go to 8, because you get Bloodbath for the next 15 seconds. All of your successful offensive abilities will generate, health. So it's just, that's obviously useful for obvious reasons, just to help you sustain a little bit more. That's even really good for soloing on pretty much every class that you can put it on. And then you have Mercy Stroke. This is also a really good one. This is essentially an execute. When an enemy is below a certain amount of health, you can use it to deal some good damage to them. And if the attack actually kills them, you get healed. Again, great for soloing and great for Paladin. And this is actually really good for Dragoon as well, who can use these cross-class abilities. Then you have Pugilist. Now, Pugilist is a little bit interesting because currently Warrior was the only job that could actually utilize Pugilist abilities of the jobs, other than, of course, Monk itself. So I'm assuming that these will become useful to either Scholar or Summoner, be available to one or the other. But you actually have 4 thresholds here, although only 3 of them are super important. And the first one is Featherfoot level 4, which increases your evasion. The second one is Second Wind at level 8, which instantly restores 15% of your max HP. That's useful no matter what class you're leveling. If you're leveling a class, that is useful no matter what. You have Internal Release, which increases your critical hit chance by 20%. Again, no matter what class you're leveling, that's a great damage boost. And then you have Mantra, which increases the target's HP recovered via Curing Magic by 5% for 15 seconds. This is sort of your group ability that you get, level 42. It's not that important, honestly. I can't, considering only Warrior, other than Monk and Warrior are the only 2 jobs that can utilize it currently that we know of. It doesn't really seem that important. I'm actually assuming Summoner will get the Pugilist abilities because critical strike chance, restoring HP to counter the convert, and well, not the convert, but their other sort of convert-like abilities, and Featherfoot's just a nice evasion move. So definitely at least get it to level 8, level 12 if you have the patience, because those extra abilities are excellent. Next you have Lancer, and Lancer has one ability that's just way more important. This is the most important leveling ability that you can have for a class, and it's the most important ability you can pretty much have for a Bard and a Monk, who can both utilize it, and that's Invigorate at level 22. Now you do get Keen Flurry at level 4, which is your parry rate, but considering it's a Bard and, well, you know, Bard and Warrior we're talking about, Bard and Monk we're talking about. I'm stumbling around my words here a little bit. Bard and Monk parrying, not too great for party use at least, but Invigorate instantly restores 300 TP. How can you not want that? That is a great ability. I highly recommend everyone gets Lancer to level 22 as soon as possible. It'll help all your classes level, and it'll help those 2 jobs immensely. Next you have, but then you also have Blood for Blood, which increases your damage dealt, but also increases your damage taken. So you have to use that at the right time. But it's also Bard Monk, and it's a damage increaser. So definitely get the 34 if you can, but 22 is really the threshold that you're absolutely looking at. And Thaumaturge only has 2 thresholds at 8 and 26. Now 8 isn't too big of a deal. The next spellcast will not be interrupted by Surecast, and it is important if you're getting hit, but it's not so important that it's like this breakdown ability that, like, oh, you better have Surecast. Definitely try and have it. It's only level 8. You can do that pretty quick. But the better ability is Swiftcast at 26, and this makes your next spell cast immediately. So this completely makes Surecast not, like, it again, not as useful as an option. And keep in mind that White Mage and one of the Arcanist jobs will be able to use this. I'm guessing actually that Scholar will gain use to this for both Surecast and Swiftcast. I know it kind of seems weird that they wouldn't get for Thunder and Thunder 2, but I mean, that's just speculation. We know for a fact that White Mage can use them, and that they're useful on not really any other class. So it's only level Thaumaturge as a subclass if you're planning on leveling, you know, Scholar, or a Scholar, Summoner, or White Mage, because the ability Thunder 2, Surecast, and Swiftcast, they're really only useful on them. Maybe you'd want Swiftcast to instantly cast Cure 1 when you're soloing on a class, but other than that, not too important. And Arcanist, I did an Arcanist video where we spoke about some of the abilities they get early on, and honestly, same thing I feel like with Thaumaturge is that they might only have abilities that are useful to low-level casters or things like that. But we don't really know anything yet about Arcanist. We don't know anything concrete about Arcanist. Other than the fact they do damage over time, we don't know anything. So I can't really tell you what to do in terms of Arcanist. You're just going to have to work it into your play schedule just to test it out and see what abilities they get. Just get the class, check out the abilities that they get, and then if you don't like any of them for leveling or anything, then you can just put it to the side if it's not on your radar for what you want to do. Now, those are just important thresholds for Phase 4. Definitely things you want to keep in mind when you're leveling your subclasses, even if you're leveling a class that may not directly influence your job. It just might make your life a whole lot easier to get to one of those early level 4 or 8 thresholds. Now, August 1st is the next big thing. After you've picked your class and you kind of planned out what you're going to do in terms of leveling, creating your character is actually the next part. You'd think that, you know, you maybe want to pick your class at the end of character creation, but no. And this is because there's a benchmark coming out on August 1st where we will be able to create characters in a program on Windows and import it into our system files. Not system files, I shouldn't say that. I should say that our character profiles. So you'll be able to essentially use those looks on your character. Some people have been wondering if you'll be able to do this for the PS3. I don't see why not, considering they both share a server. So I can imagine that you'll just have to import it onto your Square Enix account, and then it doesn't matter whether or not you're on the PS3. However, you will need a PC in order to do the benchmark. So I highly recommend that you be looking out for that come August 1st. And other than that, the most important thing is that you understand some of the more basic aspects of the game, so that you can understand how to not fumble through things a little bit. This includes the storage aspects of the retainer, the auction house like market board, the teleporting aetherites, the dungeons, and the general way of completion. Melding for those of you looking to do materia melding and crafting, the armory chest, which stores a ton of your gear in it, the armory system, which we just described a little bit now, macros, which can help you sometimes, but they're not as useful as they used to be in Final Fantasy XI. The in-rooms, where you can get rested experience, you can check out old cutscenes. That's right, there's a theater in the in-room. And you can also store some of your special artifact armor or your vanity armor. Chocobos, which you can unlock, ride, and even fight with. And what your general party role is, because you need to know what your party role is, whether you're a tank, you're a healer, or you're a damage dealer. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but it's okay. And you need to really know these things. These are very, very simple things. I have videos on most of these on my YouTube channel, although keep in mind they are from Beta Phase 3, so those things, a lot of the details are subject to change. But anyway, guys, I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share, especially if you have a friend who kind of wants some help with direction in Phase 4. I'll make a follow-up video if you guys have any special requests that feel worthy of a video and not just a quick comment back. So feel free to leave some comments and some what are the words I'm looking for, suggestions in the comments below. Also, check out my Facebook at www.facebook.com/MrHappy1227. You can go there, make similar requests, but there's also a very nice community of people who like to share screenshots and talk to everyone, and it's just a very nice community of people. So you can come join us there. Finally, if you want to donate to my YouTube channel to help improve the quality and quantity of the channel, there's links in the description below. There's also charity links down there. If you need some more details on that, I'd be happy to oblige. I don't want to go too much into the donation thing at the end of the video. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next time. Take care.